This is a tutorial on how to create this travel stop motion.
Hello?
The difficulty level is a 3 out of 5, although it could be probably easier if you're very familiar with match cut. It's just very tedious and time-consuming to match all of the frames up. The techniques used include match cut, obviously stop motion, and the app that I'm going to use to demonstrate include InShot and CapCut. Here are some examples of how to apply this to your niche. First, I'm going to start by demonstrating 3 ways to create stop motion videos, and then we'll dive straight into the tutorial of this travel stop motion. In this lesson, I'm going to teach you 3 ways to make stop motion videos on your phone. Stop motion video is made up of a series of photos pieced together so that it has that kind of scrapbook, a little bit choppy look. Now, the first way that we're going to do it is simply by filming a video and then freezing the frames in equal intervals so that you will end up with multiple photos that make up the final stop motion video. Now let's edit these stop motion videos inside InShot. First, you want to input the video that you created. This is method number 1 of creating stop motion. First, let's input the video version and see how we're going to edit this into a stop motion video. First, let's adjust the ratio into 9:16. Now let's zoom in on the timeline a little bit so that we can see more of the motion. And now let's go in and find every spot that you want to create a frame for. And when you scroll to that spot, tap on freeze frame and just delete the previous clip. And then same thing, let's see, your first frame is this one, next is this one. Tap on this spot and go to freeze frame. Now you know roughly that this 0.2 seconds is how much you want to split the clips. So every 0.2 seconds. So let's delete this and go in here. Let's do freeze and then just delete this clip. And then move forward, roughly same interval, freeze, and delete. So you just keep repeating this process. You could also do all the freeze frames and then delete the little clips later, whatever order you prefer, it's up to you. And so I'm just going to speed up this process. Alrighty, so we have made freeze frames every 0.2 seconds. Now what you want to do is just go in and delete all of the clips that aren't now the freeze frames. So just delete every other clip in here. Alright, now what you want to do is with any one freeze frame selected, go to duration and bring it down to about 0.3 and just apply all. And depending on what speed you want the animation to go at, it will look something like this. We can also test out doing 0.1 second duration. The second method to make a stop motion video is to create a burst series of photos. And the way that you do that is really easy. On your iPhone, simply tap on the shutter button and then drag it left. And that way you will get a burst photo. And so you just need to drag it left and then make the motion that you're making following your subject. And now you can see that you have many different photos and frames within this burst photo. You can then choose the frames that you want to use as individual images and then save them separately.
and each one will be a photo that will then be pieced together to form a stop motion video.
You want to go to the burst photo and tap on select, and in here you want to go in and select, let's say if you want frequent frames, and it can be every other frame you tick, okay, and just save these ticks. So every other frame you select it, and now what you can say is select done. So now it has saved all of the photos that you have selected as individual photos from the burst photo that you took. Now you can just do the same thing, import it into InShot, and trim the duration. Now just do the same thing, go into duration, bring it down to, let's say, 0.2, and apply to all. And let's take a look. So that's method 2 of how to create a stop motion.
The last type of stop motion video is made up of a series of photos, individual photos that you take, and then each time the subject moves as you take the photo, not like a burst or a video where the motion is in one go. Now this is really fun and you can get so creative with this. So one of the key factors here is to make sure that when you are taking the photos, turn on your grid lines and then always keep your subject in the same position and roughly the same size, or as much the same size as you can. The more it's the same, the smoother your stop motion video will look. Now let's begin. And so now you have this really cute stop motion video where it already has come together, and you can just scroll through your camera roll and see how it looks like a smooth motion. Now the key to this is actually making sure that each interval is roughly equal. So every step that you take, and also every photo that the photographer takes, it has to be roughly the same interval, so that you are not going from here to here and then the next one is only a little bit. So every interval has to be equal. So I made sure to make my steps roughly all the same, tiny little steps. And even when I am turning, I'm keeping the same tiny little steps. And so there are so many creative ways that you can utilize this concept. I'll show you some examples next.
And it went like...
Here is the unboxing stop motion video using Sanford Shell products.
Now let's go to method 3, where we import all of the photos that we took individually, like this. Now let's go in and change the ratio to 9:16 and make it full zoom and apply to all. And now all you need to do is the same thing, go to duration and bring it down to around 0.2 or 1. Let's try 0.2 and see how it looks. Definitely slow, so I would go into duration and do 0.1. That looks pretty good. So that's the third method of how to make a stop motion, by taking each photo individually. Now I'm going to show you how I made my travel stop motion, and the way that we did the shooting was using the third method by taking individual photos. Now for this particular travel reel, I'm going to use CapCut because it was quite wobbly when we filmed it. I'm going to show you some behind the scenes clips. So this is actually what it looked like when we were filming. The photographer was doing it handheld right here. Step by step, we move. However, sometimes there's wind, there's distraction, and also it's not always possible for him to hold his hands exactly straight. And so sometimes you'll have it look wobbly and it won't match up well. And so we have to go in and really match cut it well in order for the stop motion to look a lot more seamless. Plus, we also have a clip at the beginning where we're going to match this video to the first photo of the stop motion and match the last photo to the first shot of us coming out in this video, so that it starts with the video, ends with the video, and in the middle it is a stop motion. So here are all the photos that we took. You can already kind of see that it's a pretty nice stop motion, but it can be a little bumpy looking. So what I'm going to do is just use our match cut method, which we've talked about over and over again in lesson 5 and also in all of the tutorials, like tons of the tutorials. And just the tedious part is you have to do it frame by frame, so photo by photo, and match it all up until you have it all nicely matched. And so because of this, because we want to be precise, I chose not to do it in InShot, although InShot has the advantage that I just showed you where you can go into the duration and apply all. However, that's better if your clips are not jumpy and don't require any match cut. But if you want to do match cut, it is better to do it in CapCut because you can go into basic and be precise about it, and it won't just always snap to the center. And I have tried to do it in InShot, and it was really painful to try to match it well without being able to be precise with how much I want to enlarge it, how much I want to move it just slightly up on the y-axis, slightly left on the x-axis, etc. So let's import all of the photos into CapCut. So here you are in our project timeline, and here are all the photos. Now you'll notice that the aspect ratio is different, so we will need to go and zoom in on that to make it fit the 9:16. And this is how it looks so far, a little bit jumpy. So all we have to do now is just use our match cut method where we add it to the overlay layer and reduce the opacity and just try and match it up to the best of our ability. The only tough thing is that you have to do it for every frame by frame. There are over 100 photos, so we're going to have to do that. And now at the end, I'm going to add a video so that it goes from the photo into this final video. Let's trim it to when we start walking. And then we'll also just edit the colors so that they match better. And we'll just end it right here. Okay. And the first part, for the first video, we can also trim it a little bit. Okay, now let's go in and start match cutting everything. I'm going to speed up this entire process unless I have some notes that I want to mention. So the first thing, you obviously want to make it 9:16, same as this. Now you just want to, I'm going to do it one time for you. I'm going to overlay, overlap it, go to blend, and then just go in and be precise. Now, because we want to be precise, I prefer to go into basic, and then I just move it to the y-axis to the side so that I can see the people. And then I'm going to go into scale. I'm going to scale it so that it looks right, and I'm going to use the x-axis again, because I notice that these like very detailed matches, it's a lot easier to do it this way and a lot more precise. And then when you move it back, look how nicely it matches already, right? And so I'm just going to do it this way, go back to blend, bring it back to 100, and then bring this back to the main track. So these two are now matched up. I am mainly focusing on matching just the subject and not the background. I am just going to ignore if the background looks jumpy, but make sure to match the subject, because I think this is a better way of making sure it looks good here. And then let's just match up all these photos first, and then we'll go in and adjust the duration one by one. Unfortunately, I just haven't found a function that is like InShot where you can go to duration, apply all. So I believe you have to adjust it photo by photo, the duration. Okay, so I'm going to speed up this next part because I'm just going to be going in and just literally matching all the parts. Now, one more thing I want to point out is that if I want to make sure the next parts are roughly the same size. Okay, that looks good. And also this part is roughly same size. So the sizing of the person in terms of how it was filmed is actually quite good, honestly. I just want to make sure it's not as bumpy feeling. So let's go in and do the overlay method. Alrighty, so we have finished match cutting just the first part of this particular reel. It looks something like this. And then now it looks nice and smooth, at least for the subject, you see, a lot better. So now we just have to continue and do this for every location and then trim all of the frames to the right speed. All right, we have finally mashed up all of the frames frame by frame. Right now we just want to go and adjust this color and this color so they match better. So let's go into filter and adjust it. So let's do some auto adjust and increase the brightness. Definitely want to, I also think we should rotate this a little bit. So go into basic, rotate by maybe 1 degree. That looks much better. And it looks like it needs to be warmer in color. So let's go into temp. Make it nice and warm. Now that looks a lot closer, and then it ends here. And also I think the speed is a bit slow, so I'm just gonna go ahead and make it 1.3. And okay, looks good. And then now we just need to go into the beginning part and potentially change the color between here and here. Maybe only need a tiny bit of change, just making it brighter, slightly less yellow maybe. Definitely needs to be like this. Great, that looks pretty good. Just a little bit more adjustment. Okay, now what we're going to do is just go in and adjust the length of each clip, which is going to be a very long and tedious process. We want to make each clip roughly 0.2 seconds long. You can also use split delete. I think that might be easier. So let's go in and do that, and then we can always adjust it later. Alternatively, what you can do is you can export it and then speed it up as well. So those are two options. Actually, since we mentioned that, that's what I'm going to do, and we'll see how that turns out. So what I'm going to do actually is I'm going to duplicate this project, and I'm going to take the copy and just remove the beginning videos. This one, and also this last one. And now I'm going to export this. Now what we're going to do is just input it back into a new project file. In fact, what I'm also going to do is import the beginning and end clips one more time and match them up one more time. It would be easier than going in and trying to make adjustments and delete all of the 100 frames from the others and replace it with this one clip that we just exported. Now you want to go to speed and just speed it up. Let's do like, it should at least be 10x. Okay, let's take a quick look. That definitely needs to be faster than even 10x. Probably. Okay. Okay, I feel like the speed is just okay. Maybe we want to slow it down a tad bit, like 33x. Now we can go in and do the matching and the color change of the videos again. Just going to speed through this process. I think this looks good, and I'm going to go with this and export it. Now, I just really want to illustrate the difference of when you do a match cut versus when you don't. So this is what it looks like without the match cut. See how jumpy it is? It's incredibly jumpy and just is not as smooth. But once you do the match cut in post, it looks a lot better. So at least the subject, although I know the background sometimes jumps around a little, the subject is always kept the same size and in the same spot. So it's much, much better than pre-match cut. And so I know it takes a long time. I think it took me probably 3 hours total, 2-3 hours at least, to match all of the 100 plus frames. It is definitely worth it. And these are some of the key differences that make for a smoother stop motion than one that is really jumpy.